You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is Target in, target out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't face me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a fire in my ball. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show. My name is Kieran Calicon, and if our regulars wouldn't mind introducing themselves.
Hey, yo, it's Bryn.
Hi, it's Katie.
And it's Kev.
Spot on. Excellent. You guys are on top form, and as well you should be, because we have a special guest with us this week. Woo! He is the character designer behind shows such as Danger Mouse, Rescue Bots Academy, and the upcoming Cuphead series for Netflix. And he is Keith Byrne. Keith, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm existing. Thank you very much for Thank you very much for having me.
Oh no, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Obviously you've got to kind of be discreet with anything big and corporate, but is work going okay for you at the animation studio?
Yeah, everything's going great. We actually discussed this and this before recording. I have to say that I'm the character designer on Netflix for the Lighthouse animation division. Because there's big contracts. So yeah, I'm the lead character designer on the Lighthouse team for Cuphead. There we go. But it's going well. I think everybody's going to be extremely happy with the show. So if they're a fan of the games or just cartoons in general, I think they'll really like it.
Excellent. And I suppose people listening home, the first question they would ask is, how does anyone get involved in character design or kind of animation studio work in general? Like, did you work for this for years, or did you kind of stumble into it through your art? What kind of brought you to this?
I wanted to, I guess, going back to when I was a kid, I kind of always wanted to be a character designer. I wanted to work in animation. First I wanted to be a T-Rex, and then I wanted to be
a noble goal.
Priorities, then I wanted to be a paleontologist, and then I found out you had to research archaeology. And I have no interest in human history, so that was out. Then for a brief period as a teenager, I wanted to be a paranormal investigator, and then I found out that there's a distinct lack of hygiene in that, so I decided not to do that.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, you cannot just drop that and then move on. What on earth do you mean?
Hold on. I have played the start of Resident Evil 7. This all does track.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds entirely reasonable to me, that there would be a lack of hygiene.
So Keith, in your experience, did you find that a lot of ghosts tended to aim towards sewers? Was that what you found?
It's not even that, but it's just like, it's about a lot of guys that care more about ghosts than washing and wearing big heavy trench coats.
I want to say that I'm shocked, but I'm really not.
If you watch like any Ghost Hunter shows or one of those Bigfoot shows, you'll see what I mean. So that was out because
I imagine there's a high content of Mountain Dew and drinks of that nature in that film as well.
There's also a lot of walking. I'm not really up for walking through the woods a lot. So
Exercise.
Yeah. So
the
animation,
outer net is a scary place. So
animation was like the thing that I'd wanted to do for a long time. I kind of grew up with shows like Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life and those kind of anarchic 90s cartoons, the kind of stuff that like was on Nickelodeon, MTV, stuff like that. And that kind of really, and the Batman animated series kind of really geared me into working cartoons. So I focused a lot on drawing, to the detriment of literally everything else. I was a complete idiot in school. So I failed foundation level maths on my leaving cert.
There's no shame in that.
no. So on that front, though, I imagine that working on a project like Cuphead is probably an area where you get to actually flex that creative muscle a bit more because of the nature of the source material. So is it a case that you're able to draw from those kind of those anarchic kind of influences?
A little bit with Cuphead. My team is more the technical side of the character designing. So we'll do like hands and mouth charts and feet charts and stuff like that, or we'll do turnarounds of the characters that are done by the American team. So we're more technical rather than creative character designers. Whereas like I had a lot more freedom with like Danger Mouse and Rescue Bots, because we were also I was more of the creative character designers on those shows. But you are right though in terms of Cuphead, like having to look at like those kind of older, knowing a lot more about older cartoons does help with the turnaround. So especially with those kind of big wacky hands that you see a lot in 30s cartoons and stuff like that. And I mean, there's like a little trailer out for the Cuphead show. There's a few clips of it, and we're kind of going for a mixture of 30s and 90s stuff. So I guess the best thing I could compare to is I don't know if any of you watched the 90s Felix the Cat cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's the 1930s, but with the kind of humor and sensibility of the 90s. Especially in terms of like expressions and stuff like that. Like the characters are really pushed with it. Yeah, it definitely did help to have grown up in the time that I did. So.
And like you've been working throughout the entirety of the last 2 years and the lockdown and all that kind of stuff. Has that affected the way your studios had to work, or has it felt the same to you? What was kind of the load lay down there?
It's been pretty much the same. I do. There's days I miss studio life, and then there are days that I'm glad I can kind of just roll out of bed and start my day. So for me, there's not a big difference with character design. So a lot of character designers probably would work from home. Character designers tend to be kind of freelance. It's kind of rare you'd have an in-house character designer these days. You kind of just get them in for a show. But I was kind of like in-house for a while in Boulder, because I kind of moved from one show to the next. But for me, it's been fine. I just work for I draw a lot at home anyway, so it's not really that big a difference to me. But it can be tough sometimes because you're kind of waiting for people to answer questions. You can't just kind of like get out of your chair, go over to the director or the background lead or the rigging lead and be like, hey, what do I do about this? You kind of have to like email them and then wait for a response. So in that regard, it's a bit more time consuming, but yeah. And I've kind of forgotten how to talk to people.
Same.
Like that's. I think you and everyone else.
Yeah, like I assume some of you guys are also artists. We're not the best at dealing with people on a daily basis.
Katie, do you want to step into this one?
So,
I don't think we have enough time for me to step in on this one. All I'll say is it would be an absolutely great job if we were just left alone to do what we want.
Exactly. exactly.
In fact, I can see for the benefit of people who maybe watch this on YouTube someday, I can see all of your artistic projects behind you, Katie.
Oh, you mean all of the stock that I can't seem to sell? Yeah.
Plug.
I can't. PayPal shut down my account, so I can't do anything right now. Yeah, I'm in limbo.
Holy moly. Okay, but maybe it might be fixed by the time this goes out. Like, plug it at the end, definitely.
No, it won't be. It's going to be at least another 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can sort out some kind of plugging at the other end of that 2 weeks then.
Yeah.
But, all right, so there's one thing I wanted to ask Keith, because, I mean, we've talked about your animation work, but has anyone who, like, you know, follows you on Instagram or is just friends with you, you have an impossible turnout rate of new art almost every single day. Like, fully like completed things of like She-Ra characters and dinosaurs and things from like different animated shows. Like it's at K Jables on Instagram. Like, how do you find the time to do all of that work and put out original stuff just for fun? Like,
oh, I have no life.
That is the correct answer.
I finished my job. I finished my dream job and go, finally I can draw.
Well, I'm done drawing for the day. Guess it's time to draw.
It's like all of my friends who are like computer, like just like Bryn and Dara, who are like kind of coders and that. I was like, yes, I spent my day at the bad screen. Now to move to the good screen.
Yeah,
that's literally what happens. It's like the bad laptop goes down, the good laptop comes up.
Goodbye, work computer. Hello, home computer.
Let me plug you into my work docking station. Now I have multiple screens.
Well, then let me ask you something there, Keith. So how do you decide what it is you draw and all that kind of stuff? Is it just stuff that's on your mind, or like kind of what inspires you to do things? Because even just looking through, you've done like Moby Dick recently, like, it's not just current stuff, like, or the Teletubbies as Attack on Titan. Kind of, I know this is the worst artist question, but kind of where do you get your ideas? Like,
oh, it'll be kind of whatever I'm like horrifically obsessed with at the time. So I'll get like stupidly obsessive about stuff and I'll draw it and I'll buy stuff of it that I don't particularly need.
So on that note, how did Teletubbies and Attack on Titan come about?
Oh, a friend of mine, Natalie Law. Hold on, she was a character designer that I was her lead on Rescue Bots Academy. Her stuff's really good. Hold on, what's her? I'll send you her Instagram at the end to get to plug her stuff. But I think she was saying how, that's what it was. I made her watch the Attack on Titan live action films, which I like. I like pretty much all of Attack on Titan, including the quote unquote terrible live action movies. And she said that the hills in the background in the live action movies kind of looked like exactly like the hills from the Teletubbies. And
I mean, in fairness, have you ever actually seen set photos from the Teletubbies? They had to design the suits, I think, because like the head, like the actors' heads, I don't think were actually in the Teletubbies' heads.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then also like the sets had to be designed around, like, because the small rabbits were actually colossal. They were the size of like small deers.
Why are you doing this?
Actually, because I've just spotted Katie's eye go as big as her forehead, which means I think she's tracked it down.
Yeah.
No, I was reacting to what Kev said, which was just like, horrific.
Yeah, no, like you look up set photos, like behind the scenes photos from the Teletubbies, they are gargantuan.
Yeah,
why are you doing this to me? I'm already not sleeping.
It's
I'm
terrifying.
going to track down Keith's art, which I should stress is brilliant. I mean, I mentioned this on the game corner, but like, you have a wonderful knack for like turning horrifying things like the alien xenomorphs looking really cute and then cute things like like the Teletubbies horrifying. Is that deliberate, or is that just kind of your style? Like,
my style is generally pretty cartoony, but I have a style that I use primarily for my body horror stuff. Because I'm like David Cronenberg's kind of like my favorite director. I'm like a huge horror movie buff. So like I really like, and I specifically like, for lack of a better term, I specifically like body horror transformation stuff in films, especially if it's like a really good practical effect. So yeah.
Well done, Katie.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
But
Katie, meet your new sleep paralysis demon.
The behind the scenes photos I actually did use as reference as well, for the Teletubbies Attack on Titans. But yeah, I don't know, there was something about seeing like how smooth the Teletubbies were, they're felt and they're big like moon faces. And I just thought it'd be really funny if they were like, if that was like real skin, I guess, like how would that actually look? So, and that's where that came from. So.
And do you not find, because like a lot of your body of work has been kind of children oriented stuff, like, do you find that you have to kind of check yourself when working on certain things, or does it all just kind of flow?
Sometimes. I don't know if any of you guys are like Clive Barker fans or have read any Clive Barker's books.
No, I'm afraid not, unfortunately.
He's the guy. He's the guy that invented Hellraiser. The Pinhead and the Xenobites.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he has a book called Rawhead Rex. And Rawhead Rex is literally a book about an Irish penis demon.
Oh, like, I know the film of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't really look like that in the book. In the book, he's described as being like a big dick with teeth. And I thought like, oh, well, the movie looks shit, so I'll design what I think it would look like from the book. So I drew it and kind of just slapped it up and didn't really think anything of it. And then I suddenly remembered, like, oh, I just announced that I was like working on the Cuphead show, so I had to like retroactively like add an NSFW filter over it and stuff like that. So like, yeah, like my body horror stuff tends to not be like overtly like I don't add like the genitals into them, I guess. And I don't really draw like any like kind of cheesecake art or anything. Like I have no problem with people doing that art. It's just not something I draw. So but yeah, I think like considering like the horror movies I watch and stuff, most of the stuff I like to draw is like it's just like, oh, the Hanna-Barbera character from like 60 years ago that no one remembers. I'll draw him. That'll be fun. So
okay.
Actually, like I was just having a look kind of at your Instagram there, and like you mentioned earlier that like you'll draw kind of what like you're currently obsessing with. I noticed a block there of He-Man drawings.
Yeah.
I take it you watched the recent He-Man series then.
Oh yeah, I watched Revelations. I really liked it. I'm a huge, like, I watched a lot of the original show when I was a kid, and then I got super into the 2000s reboot that was on Toonami. So
yeah, that was really good.
It was a really good show. So I was really hyped for the new one. It has like a few little things that I wasn't like. I'm one of those people that thinks like Tila and Randor, He-Man's dad, are like kind of go a bit too hot and heavy too quick as to their approach to the situation at hand. Because I don't want to put out any spoilers in case people haven't watched it. But that's like my main qualm with it. I genuinely really liked Revelations. So.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really, really good too. I think like when I originally heard that it was a Kevin Smith, not He-Man thing, my eyebrows got raised. I was like, this could go either way.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he actually pulled the reins and was like, and I'm glad he did something interesting with He-Man. I think that's kind of what I found with it.
Yeah.
And also Mark Hamill's Skeletor is just like a warm hug. There was something.
Mark Hamill is a treasure.
Something just so familiar about something I'd never heard before.
It was really good. I thought like the cast was like stellar. I can't believe like there's a He-Man show at like that level. of voice acting in it. And it kind of the character design is. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just kind of about to say like just the fact that it was like it's such big like voice name actors for just such because wasn't it LeVar Burton was Mantis Man?
Yeah.
Just like throwaway things like that, and it's only 5 episodes as well. But sorry, you were going to talk about the character design there.
Oh yeah, no, I really like the character design. It kind of felt like a progression from the 2000 show. Like the minute I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks a lot like the kind of same kind of style as the 2000 show, but just like a bit more ramped up. But yeah, no, I really liked it. And then I'm also one of those weirdos that like really likes Thundercats Roar, the new kind of chubby Thundercat show. So I was like, I want to do the same for He-Man. So I did, and I just did the first 3, the big 3. I thought like He-Man and She-Ra, because I like the She-Ra Netflix show. I think that's a pretty good show too.
Incredible. I will get on my soapbox to defend that at any moment.
I just wish I had like a bigger budget for some stuff. That's like the only thing. So yeah, I was like, I'll do He-Man and She-Ra and Skeletor because I thought like they're like the biggest names. And the main thing I thought was for She-Ra was I thought it would just be really funny if both her and He-Man, because their siblings have roughly the same body type. So that's why I drew like She-Ra as being like as being jacked, like she's like shaped like a fridge, because I thought it'd be really funny. The two of them kind of the two of them like running around and like kind of giggling to themselves while like knocking like monuments over because they're so strong.
Just like the kind of like sumo suits like you wear and just run at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Because like they like in the old show they always talk about how strong She-Ra is, but she doesn't really like look like she would be that strong. So I wanted to draw her like, yeah, no, like, you know, maybe when she's She-Ra she's like absolutely jacked. And also to build off like the fact that like all the toys were like the same. It was always the same model and they just put different heads on all the toys. And I wanted to kind of like integrate that into the designs. So that's why my She-Ra is built like a fridge.
It was something I and I'm sure this is not an original idea, or this could have even been the impetus for the entire He-Man thing besides the toys. But I just had the thought when I was watching the Revelations that He-Man is just a magical girl anime for fans of Conan.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So my very talented friend, my Natalie Dawn, my friend, her partner, Colin, he's an exceptionally talented animator. He's gonna take some of the He-Man designs and do some stuff with them. So,
oh, that's excellent. Hopefully,
in a few weeks or so, we might see some cool little animations, because Colin is exceptionally talented at animation. I'll also link his stuff. He has an immaculate Ed 209 animation that he's done. So yeah, so that's where the He-Man thing came from. I'm a stupidly huge fan of He-Man.
Well, actually, kind of segueing off that, like, what kind of animated shows do you like to watch in your downtime? And can you kind of separate that from your kind of work life, that kind of thing? Can you still just enjoy it, or are you kind of breaking it down as you watch it, you know? That's 2 questions, but you know.
There's days I can like, and then there's days that I can't. Like, at the moment, I'm really enjoying Amphibia. I don't know if anybody's watching that, the Disney show.
No, but I'm
I'd highly recommend Amphibia. It's very funny, heartbreaking. It's basically one of the storyboard artists from Gravity Falls has his own show, just like how.
I'm just looking at the artwork for it now.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
I really like Amphibia.
Is it kind of one of these like kind of new wave, like from kind of Gravity Falls in the same kind of vein as like the Owl House?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people will cross over from each show. They do. There's actually a scene in Amphibia and in Owl House where for two expressions they swap animation styles. Right. So the main characters have like how they would look in each other's shows for like one. It's like one scene. It's a real blink and you miss it thing, but it's very funny. But yeah, like it wouldn't be as serious. Oh no, I was gonna say it wouldn't be as serious as Owl House, but it's after getting pretty serious. amphibious. So yeah, if you like stuff like Gravity Falls, that kind of comedy that also has like the dark side to it, I'm really enjoying that.
Lighthearted children's cartoons that are crippling me emotionally, sign me up.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I guess the other thing I'm really enjoying at the moment is Jellystone, which is C.H. Greenblatt. He's the guy who created Chowder. Don't know if anybody's watched that on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, no, I read that. Yeah, I remember Chowder.
Chowder, and a really good show on Nickelodeon called Harvey Beaks. His new show, Jellystone, is just like, I think he just realized, I think Cartoon Network just gave him the reins, and he's to the Hanna-Barbera characters, and he's just put them all where they're living in like a town called Jellystone together.
Oh, that sounds great.
And it's very cute and it's really funny, and there's a lot of like weird deep cuts there for like sad people like myself and my friend Stephen Stephen Coffles, again, another really good artist. I'll link at the end, because the two of us are really into like Hanna-Barbera. So like anytime there's a deep cut, we like it's a shoulder nudge kind of moment that like I don't know who else it's for. But that's also like a really funny show. So those are the two that I'm really super enjoying at the minute.
Can I ask then, because like I mean you've referenced kind of shows that were kind of flew under the radar for us. Do you think, now this is a big question, do you think this is a good time for animation in general? Like, is this like peak in terms of like really good stuff coming out, or is it a little bit more like, was it better 10 years ago? Where do you think we're at now in terms of kind of the animation culture and everything?
I think it's I honestly think it's like I was going to say it's the best it's ever been, but I do think so. Like, I think you have like a better variety of voices now. Do you know what I mean? I think there's like you can have so many shows now, and there's something literally for everybody. And I think as well with the streaming sites now, creators can like really do something special and different. For instance, like it's actually pretty old at this point, but stuff like Over the Garden Wall, and
gorgeous, yeah.
Like same with Disney and Netflix, like Kid Cosmic came out by Craig McCracken. The creator of Powerpuff Girls, his new show. There's stuff like Centaur World on Netflix, like all these like really like just insane cartoons with like or like stuff like, you know, Steven Universe or something like that. Like all these shows by like different creators, like, you know, we have like I'm not going to say it's perfect, obviously we can do better, but I think like I do think we're in like a nice golden age where like there's more creator owned things, and the creators are allowed like be more inclusive as well, which is really nice. You know, you can, you know, stuff like Owl House where like the characters are like openly LGBT, same as with Steven Universe, and stuff like that. Or like you have like more characters of like different ethnic backgrounds and stuff like that, where like, you know, there's a really good show called Craig of the Creek, which I super recommend. That's a really lovely, heartwarming show. Just where it's like, yeah, it's all these different creators, and they've all like grown up with like the same kind of shows that we all grew up with, but now they're making their own shows and everything's, yeah, it's again, you know, maybe we could probably do we could definitely do it more diverse voices and stuff like that. I'm not going to pretend that everything's hunky dory, but I think we're in like a nice golden age where I think things are just going to get maybe like hopefully better as well. You know, we especially like with the streaming sites allowing creators to like make kind of shows that don't have to really talk down to kids as well, which is really nice. You know, that show that I mentioned, Kid Cosmic, has some pretty intense stuff. Same with Amphibia, Owl House, and stuff where they, you know, there's like, you know, there's messages and themes and stuff like that that show that, you know, obviously don't talk down to kids. And then there's, you know, you have other shows where like they're teaching kids that, you know, normal things like LGBT and people of different skin color is all normal and it's fine, and we should just be, nice to each other is also very good.
What a radical notion.
What a radical notion. Or even stuff like with the new He-Man, where like obviously now Teela is like the main character and stuff like that, or the new She-Ra cartoon, which also focus heavily because or Voltron. I'll admit I don't think anything past season 1 of Voltron is any good, but I appreciate what it's there. I appreciate what it does in terms of like having openly LGBT characters. I think that's important for kids to see. So to stop us all becoming horrifically repressed monsters later on in life. So yeah, no, I think now is a really good time for animation. I think we're seeing a lot of really good stuff, a lot of really weird shit, which is always good. Yeah, I think it's a really wild and interesting time for animation.
And can I ask then, sorry to be cutting across there, but we've also got, like, because I should mention the day we're recording this, Marvel's What If has just launched on Disney Plus, and so we're starting to get animation, like obviously The Simpsons and stuff exists, but animation aimed at adults as being a normal thing. You've got your BoJack Horseman's as well on Netflix, that kind of stuff. Do you think that animation is primarily still something for kids, or has that line completely blurred? Obviously, with the exception of places like Japan and all that kind of stuff, but in the West, say.
I think the line has blurred, and I think that's okay. I think there should be cartoons for adults. Do you know what I mean? But I think it should be smarter. Do you know what I mean? I don't think when I say cartoons for adults, I mean stuff like BoJack or Bob's Burgers, stuff. Do you know what I mean? Not
like that new Royal show, which looks like just an absolute garbage fire.
Exactly. Nothing like that. Like, again, that like every bit of art has its place. I'm not gonna decry it primarily because I'm I just in case I get blacklisted.
Yeah, you gotta work.
I gotta eat. But I think there's definitely a place for like intelligent, like less kind of edgy adult animated shows.
I think it's every show does have its place, but I think I don't think it's like crazy to aspire to work on a show like BoJack Horseman and go, I'd rather not work on a Brickleberry. Which it's I'll openly say Brickleberry is one of the worst animated shows that's been released in the last 10 years. So like, but it I do think that like there's a relevant point there that like with that what's out there, there's so much choices now, like, and so many different ways to fulfill that void, to fulfill like a creative vision. Do you think that like that we would have gotten here without show, like without there being like we would have gotten to this point where we have so many different choices in animation without certain milestone kind of shows coming through, like a South Park breaking ground in adult entertainment, in adult animation, and like the the likes of Gravity Falls doing like really being focused on doing putting narrative before everything else. You think we would have still gotten to this point, or do you think that we really needed those kind of shows to come through?
I'd like to assume we would have still gotten to this point. We probably would have gotten to it a lot later, but I definitely think that we need to see milestones. I think we need to see milestones hit to make these, no, this is going to sound cynical, marketable. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like you need money to tell your story in animation. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless like you're one of those like hermits that like spend 3 years on a movie that you just hand animating yourself, all power to you. I know a few people like that, and they turn out amazing stuff. I can't animate for shit. I really can't. I hated animate. I hated animating. I thought I would love it, but I hated it. Yeah, I think milestones need to be made because then studios take chances. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think studios need to see the recognition shows like that get. Do you know what I mean? Because like, as whatever about how kind of dumb South Park started out, it eventually became more like kind of political, and it became more like about having a point and stuff like that. And that gains it notoriety, that gains it popularity, and then studios are willing to take chances. A lot of times, they're just it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. You know what I mean? And sometimes maybe the wrong lessons can be learned. You see that a lot with you saw that a lot for a really good example. You see that with like when Watchmen or The Dark Knight Returns came out in comic books, and we still got some cool like irreverent takedowns of like the comic book kind of worlds, but then you also got like the 90s where everybody was called blood something and had straps and knives everywhere.
Everyone had triangular feet.
Yeah, and
everybody is Cable,
and everybody's just Cable.
Yeah.
But but you still got like good stuff that came out of that. You know what I mean? Like Savage Dragon was obviously like very good. Parts of Spawn are very good, and you got other like kind of edgier stuff that still had like a really good point to it. It wasn't just trying to ride the kind of wave. And you get that with animation as well. For every you get your Brickleberries or your Big Mouths or whatever. You get your BoJack Horsemans, or you get Bob's Burgers, or you get Tuca and Bertie or anything like that. You know what I mean? These kind of more like kind of, it's going to sound really strange. These more kind of like sophisticated takes on like adult animation, where it's really about kind of engaging the audience with and acknowledging them. Do you know what I mean? Like, where you can see in these shows, like you can see parts of yourself, and I think that's important in adult animation, because that also engages the audience into seeing that it's really not just for kids. Do you know what I mean? And it's also not just about fart jokes or anything like that. There is like legitimate jokes or a legitimate story being told. But yeah, I definitely think the milestones are absolutely necessary to have gotten us to this point.
Okay, that's a fantastic answer. Thank you. And before we kind of segue into the headline news, is there any advice you would offer for people who want to get into character design or just the animation industry in general?
I guess advice I would give is to just always work on your stuff. Do you know what I mean? I think don't a phrase that was told to me, which is really important, is something can just be good enough. You don't need to stress or break yourself to get anywhere in the industry. I was told by numerous tutors that I would never be a character designer in Ireland. I'm a character designer in Ireland. Always try. You're never bothering a studio too much. If you emailed them about a job or anything like that and they haven't gotten back to you in about 2 weeks, keep emailing them. They're a big enough company; they can just ignore you. But you can keep pushing to get them to notice you. Yeah, that would be the best advice I could give, I guess. I really lucked out in getting my job, so I've got nothing. So.
No, but that's incredible advice, and I'm sure that the artists in this room and perhaps the ones listening too would agree with that. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Keith, would you like to stick with us for the headline news? If you're a Sonic fan, we've definitely got a treat for you here.
I am a reluctant Sonic fan from the 90s.
I think everybody is these days.
You can mute your microphone if you want, but Kev, I got the impression you were excited about.
The news is old hat by the time this came out, but let me just paint you a picture. I'm sitting at my kitchen table last night, enjoying a lovely game of Dungeons and Dragons, having the time of my life, and while my friend is offloading the exposition of their next wacky wizard spell, I just ambly scroll through Twitter and I see the post that is just Knuckles the Echidna's fist, Arthur meme style, being tweeted by Idris Elba. And I just... what reality are we living in that Idris Elba is playing Knuckles the Echidna? I just like
Idris Elba is everything.
My entire world just folded in on itself at that moment.
The short answer to that question, Kev, is a fantastic universe.
Like, even because when you told me at first, I was like, Idris Elba, really? But then when I thought about it, I thought, well, I can't think of anyone who could actually play that role. So why not Idris Elba?
Why not?
Like, what's stopping him?
Truly nothing. And it's funny because like I then proceeded then to absolutely spam you guys with just all the memes Twitter were giving me. But it's one of them pointed out to me that was like that like it shouldn't have surprised me because we all have to have been preparing for the Idris Elba furry revolution between like the Jungle Book and Zootopia.
Cats.
And cats.
And cat. Oh my god.
Where they gave him like abs and everything.
I think about cats a lot.
You shouldn't.
I can't not. I somehow just points of it to drop off, and I feel like Idris Elba. It is oh god, this is becoming a cats podcast now.
I mean, look, like this, I'll say on cats, but like there are a handful of films that I would classify as being like just like body horror that lingers in my brain, and cats
it shouldn't be body horror.
It shouldn't be, but it absolutely is.
It's an astonishing feat to make Idris Elba, who is a terribly attractive man. That movie made him completely, truly unappealing.
Like, I mean,
speak for yourself.
We're learning a lot about each other today.
I had a massive fever when I went to see Cats.
That sounds like a great idea.
I think you are the only person to see Cats right. Then.
Yeah.
You know what? I am probably the only person that still hasn't seen Cats, and I really want to, but I can't convince anyone to watch it with me. Because I can't watch it on my own. Like, I can't do it on my own.
Watch it alone.
I won't. I'm not emotionally stable enough for that. Like, I need someone there.
My favorite anecdote was... sorry. No, you go ahead, Keith.
I was just going to say, I'd feel less guilty about making someone watch a snuff film than I would making them watch Cats.
I watched Requiem for a Dream alone, Katie. I'm pretty sure you'll make it through Cats alone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched Detective Pikachu by myself the other night, and I wish I hadn't, so...
Yeah, actually, let's break this down, because I don't, like... Did you think that was a fever dream? Because I thought that was a perfectly pleasant movie.
It's okay. So I was watching it, right? And it started out, I was like, this has promise. Like, the acting isn't the best, but it had the cool taxi driver from Deadpool. And I was like, okay, I can get down with this. This is good. He disappears about 5 or 10 minutes into the movie and you never see him again. And you're like, okay, well, but it's a detective movie and it's actually got kind of a cool idea. And then the more the story goes on, the more it actually doesn't go on and it just kind of unravels. And then when they like reveal the big plot point, it kind of comes out of absolutely nowhere. And you're like, who wrote this movie? Who approved the writing for this movie? And like at one point, it's just a big CGI mess of like rocks and trees falling Inception style for no reason. It doesn't go anywhere. It just
that's
stops.
Nancy. That right there is just trailer bait. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that the statute of limitations on Detective Pikachu spoilers is out. Yeah.
But I mean, even the whole, I don't want to, like, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I don't want to give it away, but the whole bad guy plot reveal that comes out of it, it's like, where did this actually come? Why are you doing this?
I thought it was so giga-brained that I was like, this is wild and I can't believe we got here.
There was no exposition at all. Zero. It was just like, by the way, this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
I think the main kind of I suppose spoiler twist was something that people speculated on a joke offhand, and the fact that they were just that was the committed plot point. I have to give them. I have to respect it.
It's like they got halfway through writing the movie, like actually word for word script, scenes, everything, and then they got to a point where they stopped writing the movie and they just had like bullet points of plots. And they were like, just throw that in somewhere.
But it's almost like they started working from a checklist.
Yeah.
Of going, oh, we need we need this Pokemon, we need that Pokemon.
Yeah, and like
we need this kind of sequence.
Well, actually,
Like,
I was going to
don't get
defend
me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
the movie's kind of use of like it didn't just have loads of Charizards. It felt like some of the less popular and more popular ones were there in the world quite organically.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful movie, and the Pokemon are so well designed. Like, even Charizard looks amazing.
It's inherently watchable.
It's watchable. It's just like it, but it's more one of those things where you'd have it on in the background while you're scrolling through Facebook or something. Like, it's not something you watch intently.
I think it's also the fact that I think I went in judging it as like a video game movie, and the bar for that is
that's so astronomically
low.
So low.
Like, I just it just jumped that with flying colors.
Yeah.
And like Ryan Reynolds was great. He was great in it. I can't fault him. His voice acting was. It was weird seeing his voice coming out of a Pikachu, but it was still really good. But it was just one of those things. It was too jarring.
I think
the whole movie was just
it's just
jarring.
one of those things of like, I think it really depends what kind of level of quality you're looking for out of it. I think if you're going into it this has to be one of the best family friendly films I've ever seen, which means that you're putting up against films like Labyrinth and Neverending Story, which it's not going to do. But
I mean, I wasn't asking for a lot. Just kind of a story that actually makes sense. That's all.
Actually, just on the Ryan Reynolds thing, it's been announced that he's doing a movie. It's called Free Guy.
Oh, that was held back for like a year or 2 years or something like that.
I think it's out now.
It's out now, but what
Irish native Jacksepticeye will be appearing in it. And
well, what happened with that was I think that was ready to go like 2 years ago or something like that, and then the pandemic hit. And they were going to put it out on streaming platforms, but they decided to hold off until the cinemas reopened because, they can make more money that way. So that's what it was, actually held back a couple of years, but I am very excited for that one.
Well, what didn't the kind of all the Fox kind of being bought up by Disney thing delay it a bit as well?
I think that also had an effect as well. Like that's one of those films where I'm always very skeptical of stuff like that because it just reminds me of I could get the same feeling about it as I did from Ready Player One and from Gamer, and there were a few ones that where I just go like, oh, this is either gonna be enjoyable trash or just trash, I
really liked Ready Player One.
Did nothing for me.
Well, that's fair. I enjoyed it though. I thought it was an adventure and a half.
I felt like it was Ready Player One. I felt like it was a film that was trying to smack me across the head, going, "Don't you enjoy this yet? Don't you enjoy this yet? Don't you enjoy this yet?" And I'm just like,
I was like,
just calm down and tell me a damn story, like Jesus, like.
We now know what happens when you jangle keys in front of both Katie and Bryn. Katie will be exalted, and Bryn will walk away.
Like, it's like I felt the same way with the trailer for the first Lego movie, and then when I sat down and watched the Lego movie, it was like, oh, this is actually fun. This is nice. Like,
see, I was the opposite again. I thought the trailer looked really good, and then when I saw the movie, I was like, really? This is the best they could do.
Can we segue back to Keith there for a sec? Because I know you're quite an avid video game player. We talked before about how playing apocalyptic video games was very calming in the year 2020 for some reason. Do you have any kind of insights into video game movie adaptations, why they work, why they don't work, anything like that?
I think the reason that they don't work is that they don't give them stories.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You have games that have like fully fleshed out, like really well written stories, and then I think there is a stigma, and you see a lot with when it comes to stuff like comic book movies or video game movies or cartoons, like animated films, where like maybe some filmmakers are like, oh, it's like I'm not going to read this, I'm not going to play this. This doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like really taken aback by the fact that there could be a good story. Like I think was it Kevin Feige? So one of the guys was talking about like how in the mid 2000s, we had like that kind of rush of like good to really bottom of the barrel superhero movies. Like we had like your X-Men 2s and Daredevils and everything like that. And I think I can't remember. I think it was comic writers themselves. I think it was like Ed Brubaker maybe was saying like, "Oh, why didn't you just ask us to write the scripts?" And they were like, "Oh no, why would we do that?"
I see. So you feel that the movie people feel like they are above the kind of the video game and comic book industry, that they are adapting themselves, that they can do it better without the actual source material, just the
such a shame. Such a shame.
We can make this high art. Now let us go off and make Electra.
And I'll say that as a and I'll die in this hill, but I fucking love the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, so good. Oh, it's the right amount of cringe.
I am very much looking forward to the new extended cut. So
okay, but the question is, do you like it for the absolute wackiness it is, or do you like it because it's an adaptation of Super Mario Brothers?
Both.
So it's my childhood dream movie. I love that movie so much.
Oh, and it's got like dinosaurs in it. So
I mean, it's got Dennis Hopper. That's already like at least brings him to a 5 out of 10.
It's got Dennis Hopper as a T-Rex, and there's
and Bob Hoskins.
Yeah,
Dennis Hopper's the only thing that
top having Dennis Hopper play a T-Rex.
Like Dennis Hopper's the only reason to watch Waterworld. So
So
still not a T-Rex though in Waterworld. So that's a point against it.
Well, I mean, since we've got T-Rexes on the table, like, what are your feelings on the new Jurassic Park films? Since there's a new one coming out soon.
Like Jurassic Park was another like huge moment in my life. As I said, I wanted to be a paleontologist and a T-Rex. I don't hate them. I really don't. I think the first one is a bit, but I really love the Indominus Rex. And I'll die again on another hill where I say I really like Fallen Kingdom. It feels like kind of like the books with the more kind of sciencey aspects and horror bits, because the books are just straight up horror books and they're really graphically violent in detail.
Oh, the Michael Crichton.
Yeah, the original novels. And I kind of felt like Fallen Kingdom was like that, and I really enjoy the fact that like the last part of it is like in a haunted house with a vampire raptor. I really love the Indoraptor. I think it's a really cool design. I'm all up for like the weird hybrids, absolutely. So I'm very excited for Dominion. I think getting the original cast back. I've seen some of the leaked footage and stuff like that, and I'm down for it, absolutely.
No, I agree. Like, I read not the Michael Crichton, but the Arthur Conan Doyle Lost World, and it was a genuinely scary read. Like, dinosaurs are scary in that, and I think we're kind of, I mean, the fourth Jurassic Park kind of leans into this, but I think we're slightly jaded with them, apart from maybe just yourself, Keith.
Speak for yourself. Dinosaurs will never be old news. I'm not even a fan of the new
on a dinosaur theater show.
But like I'm not even a fan of the new Jurassic World movies, but like I will still watch them because dinosaurs.
We gotta bring back Dino Crisis. We gotta make dinosaurs scary again.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, like dinosaurs and kaiju are kind of like my raison d'etre. So anything with just big monsters, and I'm down for. So I think we need like more dinosaur movies.
More dinosaurs and more Godzilla.
I've gotten quite a lot of Godzilla. I don't want to be greedy. The fact that I've gotten like 5 new movies, 2 new animes. So I'm not going to be.
Yeah, they're slacking really. Like, those are rookie numbers.
They're the best you could do.
Speaking as an ex a little fat boy from 1994 who only had one Godzilla movie that he recorded off TV when Bill Bailey showed it in 1996. I'm in a good place right now.
Before we actually because we have to go to kind of a wrap up in a minute. Did you enjoy Godzilla versus Kong and for that reason?
Okay, Godzilla versus Kong is probably the weakest human story in the new remakes. It really is. It's not remotely intelligent, but it probably has one of the best choreographed fights in I think kaiju movie history. And I don't say that lightly. There's some really good shit in the nearly century long that we've had of kaiju movies. I do think it is one of the best. I think it's beautifully choreographed. I think it's insanely stupid and great, with plenty of callbacks to the first Godzilla versus Kong, and just some like really neat ideas from like cutting room floors of previous attempts at like Godzilla remakes. So I enjoyed it, but I also realize it's the weakest story-wise of the MonsterVerse movies.
Oh no!
But you're not watching
the best one for me.
Yeah, you're not watching it for the human aspect of it. I mean, like when I went to see the first Godzilla remake, the one with Cranston, you know, as soon as they got rid of him, I was like, with Cranston, you know, yeah, you put Cranston in kind of quotations because it was marketed as that, and that's it's not what we were given. And then once he was out of it, I was like, okay, well, there's far too much human aspect in this. Just show me monsters kicking lumps out of each other.
Katie is on a crusade to spoil all the movies from the mid 2010s.
I will say Kong Skull Island would not have been the movie it was without Samuel Jackson giving Kong the stink eye.
Oh,
that human story, more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that was
you can have human story, but I mean the whole story in Godzilla of the guy kind of slightly vaguely trying to get back to his wife maybe at some point. It was like that. There was too much of that. Just show me Godzilla kicking lumps out of radioactive spider things.
But it's like when you. It's like watching.
I'm very sorry to cut across you guys, but we are actually at 54 minutes now. So I want to make sure we get our plugs in. We'll start with our special guest, Keith. Obviously, we've mentioned kind of Cuphead and that kind of stuff, but where can people find your kind of solo work?
So there's Kajables on Instagram. I have a Twitter. Hold on. Oh, did I leave? Sorry. I don't know. I don't use Zoom. I think my Twitter handle is @CommonDude. So trying to remember my friends as well. I can't seem to find them at the minute. I will send them to you if you wouldn't mind putting them in the
of course.
description.
We'll put them in the socials.
That'd be great.
Excellent. Now, we may not be able to pay you, Mannequin Blue, but where can people find you in any case?
I'm not very active on social media lately for personal reasons, but if people want to follow me, they can follow my personal account, which used to be body paint and now it's just selfies, at mannequin_blue, and then my business in quotations page on Instagram, which is @acutelymorbid, which is acutely with 2 C's.
Lovely, excellent. And how about you, Kev? Where can people find your things?
They can't find me. No, I got no plugs. I got nothing. I got no shows. I got no plugs. I got a Twitter. You don't want to see it.
So let me just run down our social recommendations so far. Can't find it. Nothing's there. You don't want to see it. In that order.
Yeah.
This plug section's going very well.
Yeah.
It's working. I want to see it.
This is the height of please don't tell anyone how I live. Which I'm very tempted to make my Twitter handle.
Oh, Bryn, redeem us. Where can we find you?
You can find me and be disappointed by my Twitter at CastBrynCast, and that's it.
Okay, well, with all that said, Keith, thank you so much for coming on the show and kind of sharing your interests and your advice and all that kind of stuff. We really hope you've had a good time.
I have. Thank you very much for listening to me. You know, I like to just talk into the void, so I guess if there's people listening back, that's great.
We'll let you know. Okay, with that in mind, we have been the Nerd to Know Media team on the Nerd to Know basis, Phoenix 92.5 FM. We'll be back at the same time next week, or if you're on Spotify, there's loads of our other episodes. You can find us there. But until then, we will all say bye.
Bye.
She says I'm not romantic. I say she's too dramatic. I tell her while we're at it, we can work it out. She says I'm not romantic. I say she's too dramatic.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.